Hello, magical creatures. So, we're halfway through the year of the White Magnetic Wizard. Time for magic, enchantment, receptivity, opening the heart and following the heart wherever it might lead us, because the heart is the place from which our soul is speaking to us. I know, it sounds magical. Well, following the heart isn't always an easy process. Currently, we are right in the middle of the year, in the Resonant Month of the monkey. And it's very beautiful because the Resonant Month is all about us coming in resonance with the universe and not letting ourselves being guided blindly by a mind without a heart. But following the heart can sometimes lead us in some very dark places. Because following the heart is all about growth. The White Wizard represents the power of the Jaguar, a very sacred animal in the Mayan culture. It represents the power of the shaman, the one who has mastered the underworlds, the unconsciousness of the human brain. The Jaguar invites us to cross all of our fears and ignorances until we discover the totality of our being. And I feel to share with you my experience since the year began, because maybe it's going to resonate with some of you. So at the beginning of the year, following the guidance of my heart and completely ignoring my rational mind that was yelling, "Don't go that way," I ended up down a path that was anything but comfortable. I followed my heart and was put in the position to face my deepest fears and insecurities. It was, of course, a growth process in the end, but you know how us human beings are. We like comfortable situations and we tend to run away from discomfort. So despite all the learning, the unconscious fear of following my heart started to root itself in my being. Before the year began, it was much easier for me to feel which way to go. After the year began, I started rationalizing too much, analyzing, looking at the bigger picture and all the possible outcomes of a situation, paying loads of attention to details. But what made all of that worse was that I was doubting my own feelings and emotions. And to be honest, this led me down quite a dark path. For 2 months, I felt as if I was in the dark night of the soul, completely lost and with multiple personality tendencies, because there was an inner fight between the mind and the heart. And another funny thing that happened for me was that, you know how us human beings have such high expectations from ourselves. We have this image of how we should be, which keeps us from seeing, accepting, and working with what actually is. And my mind was trying to make choices that would allow me to be the person I wanted to be, which I'm not yet. I still have my fears, my patterns, my insecurities that I'm working on breaking. But I wasn't accepting where I was at, which made everything even more worse, because besides all of the fear, now I had these high expectations of myself and the feeling of disappointment when I couldn't live up to them. So if any of you have been feeling very confused lately or struggling with contradictory feelings, emotions, or thoughts, your mind and heart are basically fighting each other. The difficult part in all of this is telling the difference between the mind and the heart, but fear and love feel differently within the body. The mind operates on fear, while the heart is all about love. When the mind kicks in, fear, anxiety, depression kick in. But following the heart means operating on the principle of love. And love has many different layers and manifestations, but before we can truly manifest unconditional love to the world around us, we must first manifest unconditional love to ourselves, meaning to accept where we currently are. And there is no way to love yourself unconditionally as long as you're running away from yourself and not accepting yourself. To fight with certain parts of you means to not accept what is within you, and fighting does nothing but create more inner misery. It's not about fighting, it's about accepting where we currently are. And we can start working from there. Let go of how you want yourself to be. You'll only get there when you accept where you currently are. In the last months, I've been trying to run away from myself, trying to ignore my heart, because following my heart was leading me in the most uncomfortable situations possible, and it was making me see all of my all the darkness within me, basically, all of my fears, my patterns, my insecurities that I'm currently dealing with. And basically it was showing me all of the resistances that I have built towards love. And because of my experience in the beginning of the year, I started doubting my own feelings and emotions, feeling as if I have no idea what I want. But the funny thing is that the heart always knows, even if the mind doesn't have it all figured out. The heart always knows what it wants. And the more we connect with our hearts and we surrender to its guidance and wisdom and teachings, the more we are able to create magic in our life that simply flows out from our whole being. The challenge of this year is the yellow seed, the power of growth, making us fully responsible for what it is that we are experiencing in our reality. And it pushes us to connect with our heart because that is the place where growth comes from. That is the place where our spiritual wisdom lies. And it's also the place that can be very unbalanced within us if we have let our mind and ego guide us, or if there's somehow a need within us for outside approval and recognition. The wizard walks a lonely path sometimes because, like I said, he's all about following the heart, and we live in a very rational-minded society. And of course, in such a society, people following the heart are seen as crazy or foolish or idealistic. And if we are trapped in the need for outside recognition or approval, following the heart is always going to be very difficult, because what our heart wants and what other people want for us or from us might be two very different things. That is why the seed challenges us this year to let go of all of that and to understand that we must show the world who we truly are, even if who we are might let down certain people that might have different expectations from us, or if who we are might really create changes in the world around us. But the magical thing is that once we start walking the path of our heart and revealing our true self to the world, yeah, we might lose certain people in our life, but the magic is that we are going to start attracting those people who fully see, accept, understand, and love us for who we truly are, not for who we pretend to be. So this year, the challenge is allowing ourselves to grow by letting go of our fear of growth. Think of a seed. Its hard shell needs to be cracked open so the potential within it can be released. And cracking the seed of a shell open can be a very uncomfortable process, especially if in our life we've been building layer after layer after layer to protect the core of our being from the world. And currently we're in the Wavespell of the Yellow Warrior that began on the 24th of January and ends on the 5th of February. He's the warrior of light and truth. It's the power of intuition, the divine knowledge, and the connection to the spiritual realms. He asks us to have a lot of courage to speak our truth in the world and to have faith within ourselves. He's the one who always questions, and he has a very big mental body. So in his shadow aspects, the yellow warrior can turn into a warrior. So it's quite a perfect time for us to stand in our truth with courage and grace. It's a time for listening to our intuition, letting go of our over-analytic, rational mind, and this way we can discover a higher type of consciousness that lies within us, and we can release all of our fears and our lack of trust in the universe. Trust yourself, trust your heart, and trust the universe that you are exactly where you need to be to grow. Your heart only wants you to be whole again. It wants you to embody the perfection that you were before you started letting your traumas define you. So that's it for today. If there are any questions about the 30 moon calendar or the token, you can always write me a message on Facebook or on my email. I also offer private galactic signature decoding sessions where we talk about your kin and how these archetypes influence you. So until the next time, wishing you a most truthful day. In Lakesh.